just I'm not. I don't know exactly who's responsible for because I don't have access to the record.
Yeah,
It's a Masonic record. It'll
yeah.
tell you the names of the ones that agreed to the ceasefire. It's the secret treaties.
Hmm.
I think it's like 72 secret treaties.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Trump took him to Mar-a-Lago with him. That's why he got raided. But he wasn't there
Right.
no more.
That makes sense. I
That's
was
what they
being.
was looking for. They was looking for the secret treaties because they was Trump had already sent them to the military under heavy guard in order for the contract to be broke.
And that's why he holding the Bible outside of the church upside down.
Right. That means that the Bible spell is broke.
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi tore the Bible up on the podium.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same day.
Yeah.
That was the same exact day.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the Pope announced, yeah, he washing his hands. He been did that actually before they told the Bible. So that gets that, yeah. So the Pope already know that the conjugal
That's what
blood.
made the other Pope step down
Hmm.
because they wouldn't listen to him no more.
Hmm.
Right? Because the all this stuff was over with. He was telling them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that was the Barack Obama letter.
In 2014, we got that. We got that documents too in the folders and the Native American
Okay.
chief folders.
Now everybody think that's a fake letter. Okay, well think it's a fake letter if you want to. It's in the public domain. It's not a secret.
Yeah,
Right?
everything comes to fruition now.
Yeah. So when they told them all, they're supposed to dismantle the police and all that stuff,
Yep.
and told the American public what was going on. But what most of us don't know is Barack Obama was following the orders that old man Bush told him: if they take me out or if they get on to us, you have to sell the country.
Uh-huh.
And that's the only way you're gonna be able to get any protection overseas. He's supposed to sell it and flee. He got caught. He can't go nowhere.
Yeah.
They was all around him everywhere he get. This is what that whole situation when they was trying to kill him with Petraeus and all of that. Cause he had pulled off a full-fledged coup on the people of the land. He ain't from here.
Go ahead.
He pulled the coup on the pale face. You know he don't like for no darky to get over on him.
Yeah.
But he was trained by the old man Bush.
Yeah.
He was just like his nephew. They got pictures of them together when Barack Obama is a baby, 7, 8 years old or whatever he was.
Yeah. And it was
right?
in connection with Lolo Sorrento.
Lolo Sotoro was best friends with George Bush.
That's right. That's right.
He kept his secret about Big Buddy being the man.
That's right. Hey, that's my next question, Rod. Because you one day you called me with a clue and we never did bring this clue back up. I don't think about the wrinkled flags on the coffins. George W. Bush had a wrinkled flag. Colin Powell had a wrinkled flag. Could you go in on the wrinkled flag on the coffin at the funerals? Because
the law of flag. The law of flag, wrinkled flags is for traitors and veterans who defected, like AWOL, high ranked officials, stuff like that, or people that they suspect of corrupt deeds beyond the reach of the military. They give that's called a dishonorable burial.
Right.
That's why the flag is wrinkled.
Right.
But the honorable flag is crispy and it's folded neatly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not wrinkled when it's on the coffins.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's called honorable disposal.
Mm-hmm.
Arlington Cemetery was just to count the bodies tied to Crispus Attucks through U.S. military channels.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah,
right.
The civilian deaths wasn't even counted.
That's right. That's right. It was a massacre. They said it was a massacre. You think one guy got killed, it was a massacre. That means the whole town got took out. The whole
But
town.
they never stopped bombing our cities. The most prominent one in recent years is Move. Philadelphia. How you think Rosewood started? How you think Black Wall Street started? The same exact way. Burn down one business and all of the wood and stuff catching on fire. Right. And a lot of the brick buildings had wood trusses on the inside that burned, causing the ceilings to collapse, so they wasn't no more good. Then, after they bombed Black Wall Street, didn't nobody want to stay there. Where they all go? Atlanta. They double back on their ass.
Hey, you know something? It seemed like to me, man, when reading Christopher Columbus' Diaries, it's like he painted us as some happy-go-lucky people. Like we were just la 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 la. We had all this gold and pretty women, and it was just a heaven. It was like we was in heaven. The way he painted it's like we was in heaven, and they got to come over here and stop us. We got to cut their heaven off and take it, and they got to serve us and bow before us. They came with that type of mentality. Like we was in heaven, and they got
to cut us. That's the same mentality that got them excommunicated from Europe.
Go ahead.
You got to remember, at the time Columbus came, right, to America, the Inquisition was in full swing, and the dirty Moors was on the run from whoever they pissed off over there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right. So in that same time period, you had your Spanish Inquisition. And then you had your French Revolution, like almost like in short order behind each other.
Napoleon got funded by the Rothschild. Yeah,
and he's showing you a pattern of wherever they go, starting at BS, people wake up and rebel.
Yeah,
right. John D gave them a formula.
Yeah.
Once they figured out that they have to maintenance it, they ain't stopped spilling blood. They opened up slaughterhouses. We didn't slaughter mass casualty animals like that, right? But it's already the first blood, so the continuation of the first blood is in the sacrifice of the flocks. You go back to the biblical story when the so-called Lord told, I think it was either Joshua or Jeremiah, to go kill off the whole city and kill off everything in it.
Yeah.
Right. When they told when you get there and killing the people, kill off the livestock, right, and the cattle or whatever they got, and burn their crops. So that's called a erasure ritual. Trying to erase a bloodline. You don't want anything that can be used to use conjure magic to bring that bloodline back. All they need is one living descendant and a sacrifice from the original land. And that living descendant, if you figure out what happened, he can resurrect his bloodline. And this is how you get your grail lines. Those with the conjure in their DNA that is going to be called forth genetically in order to perform the function of compelling everybody to close these BS conjures so we can move into the golden age.
Hey, so
I figured it out.
And they said that the bad witches said that the only way they gonna win is the good witches do nothing. Only way they said that only way we can win, evil prevails when good do nothing.
Yeah, because good, the balance of the universe is neither good nor bad, but somewhere in the middle.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Right. I mean that you can bump left. That mean I'll fuck you up if I have to. Mm-hmm. Or you could bump right and say, I come over here and be as righteous as you need me to be. But at the end, you still gonna bump back straight.
Hey, so I'm thinking like, my bad. I'm thinking like, what kind of deal we have? I'm still trying to figure out what kind of deal we had with these British Moors, because it's like at one point when they brought the devil over here on us, and then when the devil turned on them and cut them off, he then turned on us, and then they went off and said, "Oh yeah, well, we can't help you now. We gotta get on because it's this devil too powerful." And now he turned on us, started taking out more of our land. You know what I'm saying? They the one brought over here without the Moors. They would have Christopher Columbus would have never made it over here without the Moors.
Go back to the beginning of this video and what the real key say.
Go ahead.
People like this was teaching these people stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And then they just needed somebody that was either negligent in order for them to use it on.
Yeah.
If you're negligent and you know you was negligent, you're not responsible. Mm-hmm. But if you know you negligent and you do what's called violating your oath, if you know you negligent and you don't do nothing to stop it, but you don't tell nobody, you become part of the problem. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. That takes us back to the story that's being told in the East Coast, West Coast beef. It's a story being told in that drama. Mm-hmm. Right? The Chiefs is reenacting events happen in history using modern cultural influences to effectuate the message being told. Mm-hmm. Sitting Bull was sitting on his post. That's the message. Mm-hmm. Tupac come through and told him, hey, you can't be sitting on your post. You didn't let the enemy in the gate. Yeah, right. Has nothing to do with the real life people that may have either lost their life or got hurt in the process or got locked up. It's this ancient story being told in order to unravel the mystery of what's going on the land. Mm-hmm. You need two master artists, right? You need two griots that's excellent storytellers. Mm-hmm. That's coming from two different parts of the land, telling the story by theatrical performance, right? Then when they exit, stage right, stage left, right? They can only come back stage right on what they call a resurrection of the story. That means there's a sequel, right? And the sequel plays out in a whole different beef with two whole different people, right? Or three. So it's the next time it play out as the Gemini twins trapping the dragon between the left bump and the right bump. And the dragon is a Draco. So now we see it play out in the artistic performance because one of the Geminis gonna send it back up to Pac. Right? So once he send it back up to Pac, it gotta come back down with an answer to the conflict. As above, so below. The Hollywood stars pretending to be the stars in the sky, they just get a little closer so you can see their light shine. And once you recognize the character, real recognize real because he looked real familiar. So then you see the drama play out, and then you understand who's what and where your dog at in this fight. They labeled me a outlaw tribes. The tribes that wouldn't do the treaties. The non-treaty tribes, the enemy-dependent nations, the foreign dependent nations. Somebody had to go in the books and tell y'all how they hiding us. What did they do on the Trail of Tears? They moved in their indentures as we wouldn't go along with their program. So we stayed down there and they just changed who we was on the paper. So we always believe that we ain't who we are and we supposed to stay delirious for 200 years. And it worked. Yeah. Until somebody said, until the green one said it's time to break the spell. So they send me to the lab. Right?
They call it, yeah. They call that move. They pull rabbit. They call that move pulling a rabbit out the hat. The act. That's one of they acts. The act of the Indian Removal Act. All these acts. They call that pulling a rabbit out of a hat because they pull a white rabbit out of a black hat. It's all synonymous with what's happening right now.
You know and also a rabbit is called a hare.
Go ahead.
Right? Hare in the hat.
Go ahead.
Hare is it's a homonym for heir.
Go ahead.
Heir is the one with the heritable birthright. Mm-hmm. The rightful heir is the right person with the right heritable birthright in the right sense of man to add right knowledge in order to execute the right plan to deliver the right people from all the wrong MFs. Right? So we zigzag flip all the way through all of the masters that told us exactly what to do. And everybody that took the message wrong, that's okay. The ones who needed to get the message got the message in order to explain the message to those who never been exposed to the message. And this is how you unlock the trap that we was put in by putting it in the public domain. And that's why we use the oral tradition and not the written tradition. Because you can write it in the book, but none of the ones they call the N word is going to look in the book. We already know that because we not readers. We talkers and walkers. We live what we preach and we preach what we live. Right? We what they call the authentic ones, the ones that stand on business first and then indulge in the pleasure after. As long as there's work to be done on the floor, we're going to tend to the business at hand. And then we're going to chase our hedonistic pursuits after we conquer and win. Right? So we sacrifice ourselves for the collective in order for the collective to collect what we got coming. And now the collective bloodlines, 13 in total. Isis and the 12 daughters. The 12 daughters is the 12 mothers of the earth, and Isis is their mama. And ice is as ice is. Cold and frozen. We talking North Pole, baby.
That's right. And we break down the redheads. The redhead, Isis redhead.
I get to them. And the North Pole is where the cold pole at, the ice pole. Right? Polaris. Right? And the pole star is over the pole until he descend. And when he descend on the pole, now you got a cold ape at the North Gate holding on to his pole with a gorilla grip. Right? Pounding on his chest, beating on the concrete to awaken the strong and the weak. Right? So the 12 daughters represents all of the daughters of Isis that make up the 12 families of the earth tribes. The foreigners are the interlopers because they don't know what mama line they come from. Because they didn't come from none of the 13. So them somebody else babies, masquerading as mama's babies. Right? They look like us, but they ain't us. That's why they told us all skin folk ain't kinfolk. Right? So the sister sent out the SOS and the BOS gave them a knockback in order for the code to crack. So the real Kia wanted the receipts that told us where it was tied to. Mama told me to deliver the receipts on Friday the 13th. So I collected the receipts and put it together and put it in the public domain. Because when they try to use your ancestors against you, your ancestors was going to either stand there and see what you do, or they going if they feel like that you doing everything right, the person that sent your ancestor to get you gonna get it. Instant karma. But a lot of the stuff that we was under is because we turned our back on our ancestors, so we couldn't see what happened. They couldn't feed the information down the genetic line because they was clipping us off from the vein. They was cutting us off from mama line. But when you go back to the mother line, that's where you're gonna find your right man. Right? And so the redhead princess, we talking Scotia and Scotia. Scotia is the heir to the Scottish Bank. Scova is the heir to Nova Scotia, meaning she have a territorial right. And Scotia had a currency right. They got two different kinds of birthrights to the wealth. One inherits the gold and the silver, and the other inherits the green and the land. So the daughters that left Scotland and Ireland, because they was under attack, they came over here, right? And they settled over here, the redhead princess, but they always thought they had found her, but they hadn't found her because she got around them. right? They thought they were smarter than mama, and mama outsmarted them all because she put her baby boy up to go find him, drag him out, and don't miss a beat while you monkey flip and catch every key. So when she was teaching me how to put together the puzzles, I was showing her with the Legos I knew how to build. Once she understood I knew how to build, she sent me to my father to see if I could find my way back home. So when they dropped me off in the park and I got lost, I told them where my daddy worked. That's Fisher Body. That's Body by Fisher. Right? So when they went and got Pops from work, and he was like, boy, how did you know how to tell him? I said, because I pay attention. You just don't think I do. Right? So then my Pops sent him back home and said, this boy know how to find his way out of anything. In other words, he can see through the maze, the LA Barif, the labyrinth, the maze of trickery that leads to the deception that need to be uncovered for us to understand the story that's being told through Hollywood political satire, through the old Delta blues that transformed into every genre of American music. As long as they play in the note, I can read the sign, even if they're not the originator. Because if they play in the style of Jimi Hendrix can talk to me through their music. If they play in the sound of the Purple Madness, the Purple Passion, the Purple Prince can talk to me through their music. Right? If they have exceptional vocal skills and they know how to beatbox, Michael Jackson can talk to me through the music. So the imitator becomes the facilitator to deliver the message from the master to the student. It's all in the public domain. This is the end of the end game. I told everybody, Elder, if you remember, before it's over with, Trump have to call in the National Guard before they get rid of the police.
They calling them in California right now. And look, oh yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, Rod. I'm glad you brought that up. All right, so California is filing charges against Donald Trump to remove. They filed a restraining order on them because like some of the states are still they classify. I know Texas and Texas and California is the two states that's still got their own republic or something like that.
Well, border states got different rules than interstates.
Okay.
Because they border states, their use of the National Guard is more easily administered because it makes them vulnerable for invasion.
Right.
How we know that? They telling you where we got invaded at when the Califia Queens got slaughtered because they knew we was leading up to Friday the 13th free day or freer day.
Makes sense now.
All this is, I keep telling y'all, is convergence. If you watch the movement of the stars, and then if you watch the events as they unfold, it's a pattern. You watch it long enough, you just see the pattern coming even when you're not looking for it. The more you use the faculty, the more control you have of it, the more you can fine tune the skill. Right? So, by seeing this stuff and knowing the process of governmental transition, you got to remember they did the same thing in South Africa. Right before they gave up the apartheid government and gave it back to the South Africans, the Queen of England, Elizabeth, issued some kind of decree, right? Then they went down there in South Africa. They listened to what she said, and they got rid of all of the armaments. Remember, right to bear arms is supposed to be a right, not a privilege. You're not supposed to put an abridgment on the privilege.
Right.
You're not supposed to license a right. A license is permission to do something that's otherwise illegal.
Right.
If it's a right, it can't be illegal whether you have a license or not.
Right.
It's only if it's a privilege can you abridge it? You can't put addendums to a right.
Right.
So they've been fighting to disarm us, but we had one problem. We had a group of gung-ho crackers, rednecks, hillbillies that don't want to give up their guns.
Well, they ain't giving them up.
So they the only reason why we got a right to get our guns.
And they said they're gonna you gotta pry from their dead cold hands. That's their motto. Pull out the pry from my dead cold hands. That's what they are. Yeah.
Right.
Real
so
deal.
While we would look, the shield worked both ways when you know what nerve to touch.
Right.
They got them convinced that the United States is the actual proper government on the land.
Right.
Right. But the contracts is the constitutional treaties. And in the Constitution, it's a right to bear arms. And because they put everybody under slavery and not just us, you have certain people that they got to maintain the appearance of superiority in order to uphold a white supremacist system. Right? So all of the stuff is they doing, they swearing up and down they not doing it while you watching them steal cookies out your cookie jar, eating them, and they's telling you, I've never seen your cookie jar before.
Yeah.
But they standing there with their hand in it, steady eating the cookies. So, yep, the secondary constitution, Rashad Jamal 3.0, was the one written in the blood of Crispus Attucks, but they don't tell you that. But it's in the George Washington Masonic Memorial. Along with the fezzes of the Moors that came, and they don't have the feathers of the chiefs that went into the conjure against them. But they got all of the fezzes on display. Mm-hmm. The chiefs can be seen on a mural of Carlos V. Carlos V is Charles V. And he had a bet with the Spanish that we would win. He had bet the Spanish king, I think it was one of the Georges, that we would win. He put his money on the tribes over here. And that's why you see he's on the mural with the I think that was Inca chiefs. But we all had to go into the darkness in order for one of us to find their way back to the light.
Man, bro, I was watching this movie, man, about in Africa when the white colonizers was first coming over there. And man, in Africa, like you didn't want to go over there during the 1600s, and before that, you didn't want to go to Africa as a white guy, man. Look, like one tribe, when they got him over there, they said, "Come on in," and then they tried to cook him. You know what I'm saying? They had already had a fire going and everything. They put him up in there with some lettuce and tomatoes and onions, and they were balling him.
You got to remember one thing. You can walk from Africa to Europe. You might have to swim about a quarter mile.
Go ahead.
But across the Pillars of Hercules, as they refer to.
Yeah.
Right? You can look on one side and see the other side. We can go swimming in the ocean over here and don't see the other side. We got some lakes over here that you can't see the other side.
Yep, like Lake Punch.
But you can stand in Africa and look into Europe with the naked eye.
Yeah.
Africans had already encountered Europeans long before they brought them over here. And this is why we had to study African root science, Medu Netter, right? Because it's telling you codes. The light codes is in the literature, right? So when we start studying the rosters, we study in the Holy Pibby, we study the Sacred Parchment Scroll of Black Supremacy. Ties back to the Ethiopian emperor, right? Because the Ethiopian emperor at one time was called the emperor of the world, right? But now we in modern times. Imperial days are long gone. Days of kings are long gone, or so we thought. The days of these people being publicly known is what's been long gone. The puppets that represents the will of these people is called the boule. The boule are the ones who learn the language of the French king to be able to talk to him in the king's language. That means code, right? Now remember, they got King's Day rebellions scheduled. It's called King's Day Rebellion. What has the king ever rebelled against if he the king? Think about it, Elder. You king of your castle. In your house, you muted.
They rebel against the people, bro.
No, you in your house. You the king. You can't rebel against the people, but the people can rebel against you.
Yeah.
In your kingdom, you the ultimate power, or are you?
Right.
Who would the king rebel against? There's only one person in this house he'll rebel against.
The queen.
Sit.
Man.
Patriarchy.
Yeah.
The
It makes sense.
extra feminine king. They called him King John for a reason. And Magna Carta is the work that he wrote, the Great Charter. Right? To make the commoner and the king appear on the same level. Now notice the word appear. Right? So King John in the Magna Carta. Now what that got to do with John D?
Go ahead. That tie sounds like it tie in.
Who did they say that the queen fired and ran from her royal house? Go pull back up the first John D video.
All right.
Listen close to what she say. This is important. Right? They telling us the story as is unraveling. Because it already happened.
John D. John D. Yeah, man. So I'm starting to put all this together. I'm gonna go look into more into the this conjure. We got another tape. We did 2 tapes a long time ago where you broke down more in detail on the conjure. I'm gonna put that in the links too. It's called Conjure Part 1 and Part 2. Those classes right there. That was lit. But we'll take a couple. We got about maybe like 15 minutes. We'll take a couple questions from the crowd. Y'all got any questions for Chief Raw Hayes? Drop it in the links, man. Let's see right
here. Tell him my Cash App, man.
Oh yeah, I got the Cash App right here. I'm finna drop it. Put it on the screen right now. I got the Cash App and
the PayPal. The PayPal. So I want you to tell him because people be trying to send me stuff on Cash App, and it ain't been letting it come through. It kind of lets some come through. So if it don't work, then use the PayPal.
Yeah, I got the PayPal and the Cash App up there.
Yeah. So you could try to Cash App first. If they send it back, then you have to send it. Then you got to send it on PayPal.
Hey, I'll start the questions. That says I want to confirm access to the website. What's the link? What website? Do you think a blackout will hit this year in America?
You know what? A blackout can mean a lot of different stuff. Right? It's, a media blackout is when the event happened and the media doesn't cover it. Right? So you got different forms of blackout. So I know we have to have something that signifies the Great Reset, and before they could do the Great Reset, we have to watch the unfolding of the narrative play to a conclusion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, Chief, if you could elaborate on the Congress board structure, whom would you put on the board? If you could create your own structure, hold on, let's see what this says.
I wouldn't use it in the way that they use it. I use it the way that the matriarchs used to use it. Congress is short for Congress of Mayors, right? And it used to be a meeting of town mothers before the government took it over and use it as if they own. And the Congress of Mayors was a meeting of matriarchs, and most city capitals had a Congress, or most regional city capitals. Mm-hmm. We had like the land wasn't broke up into 50, 48 continental states. It wasn't broke up like that. It was divided up by lines of demarcation, by territorial boundaries. And this is how people become associated with a river, because the river they associated with is what they named after. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Like the Shoshone is named after the Shoshone River, branch of Old Mississippi. Right? But the Upshaw is Upper Shoshone. I mean that they was from the upper portion of the river. So you had the regular Shoshone, they was probably on the lower portion, as they would call it, but they was there first. So you had to identify the secondary tribe, which is probably like a brother that couldn't get along with the father, and his brothers ran him out. Go set your own tribe up. Big Mama point a piece of land. These are your lines of demarcation. So he wanted to be tied to the Shoshone too. So he said, well, they Shoshone, so we Upper Shoshone, becomes the name Upshaw in the English language, right? And a lot of that happened where you have hyphenated or you have compound last names, like Goldsmith, right? The Goldsmith is who used to smelt the gold for the tribes. We used to have our own currency. Mm-hmm. Right, and this is how they knew we was wealthy. It started back in Columbus's journal. Mm-hmm. You gotta remember, Mansa Musa also disseminated large quantities of gold across the land when he came. That's right. Or his brother did, Abu Bakari. Right, and Daco coins was circulating on the land. It still had the seal from where they came from in Ghana. Right. This is why they keep trying to tell us we from West Africa, because they believe that the Ghanaian blood from the West African tribes, because we have kingdoms and then we have empires, right? In one kingdom, you could have a king and you could have 50 princes that all got a territory, right? And so when they come over as indistinct haplogroups from a father line under patriarchy, but if they got a territorial right, most of them not leaving their motherland. They not coming over here, the women not. And this is why you see a lot of the travelers, it was hardly ever females on pirate ships. Right. Right. Most ships because this is during reset period, we coming out of a cataclysmic event, a global destruction. Yeah, that's all right. And as we putting it back together, you have people that's actively interfering to slow our progress down so that in the meantime, they can get as much benefit from it as possible. Right. Right. Well, if they leave us to our own devices, we go naturally farm the land. We're not working in no factory. So somebody got to have a factory that their family is big enough to work in if you're going to make factory goods. Most of the bakers, they was the ones on the bakery. Yeah.
The bakers.
You know? Yeah. The cooks. That's where all your chefs was coming from. The kings, the royal bloodline. They call them king for a reason. They last name king for a reason. Because over here we didn't have titles of nobility, and they prohibited by the Constitution. But they gave them the name. The name is not king, because it comes from the three-letter word K-N-G, which means father of the family. Which is why they didn't. That's why they still allowed them to use it, even though it's prohibited in the Constitution. But if you try to change your name to a title of nobility, they won't let you.
And but you know, Rod, all the lawyers still carry Esquire. So really, all of them, the judges,
but their children can't.
Huh?
The lawyer can carry it, but the only way his children can carry it is they have to follow in their father's profession.
Now, what I'm saying
or mother's profession.
That should automatically disqualify them in the court when they go in with the Esquire, being that the Constitution says that you can't have no title, nobility. They automatically disqualify them.
Well, you got to remember, the courts is not from over here.
Go ahead.
They the one, the barristers is the ones running the court system for England, not for us.
That's right.
We have tribal courts over here. The chief don't have to be a certified attorney with the American Bar Association to go into a tribal court and argue your case. He just got to have the ability to understand the evidence and how to explain or question it to the level where you can prove your point. All of the other stuff, that's just extra stuff that they did to put roadblocks in our way. I'm not sure exactly what they're talking about. It amazes me how many people don't know that the capital for the longest time over here was New Orleans. That just blows my mind. That you couldn't even get on the land until the settlers came unless you came through New Orleans. You on mute, Elder?
Of course, the Moors moved it to Philadelphia. And then they moved it again to D.C.
And it moved to New York. The immigration moved to New York.
So it was in New York first, at New Amsterdam. Then they moved it to Philadelphia. Then they moved it to D.C.
Philadelphia was the political capital.
Okay.
But the immigration port moved from Port Nola because we was fighting war in the Gulf.
That's right, against the French. Yeah.
So we had to open up our immigrants on another part of the land. And we also fighting the Spanish Armada on the West Coast. You got to remember that too.
Yeah.
We got to remember that California was defending themselves against the Spaniards. It wasn't California, it was a territory.
Go ahead.
It became California when they chartered it under the Spaniards. It became New Mexico when they annexed it from Mexico. It became Texas when they annexed it from Mexico. But other than that, they had different names. Right now, if Texas want to secede from the Union, they can break up into as many as 5 different states or nations based on geography. They the only state in the Union that kept that right.
Hey, QT Jones, QT Jones, funny man. It's about why the Moors not still around. Why haven't they been eliminated?
Because all of the Moors ain't bad.
Yeah, that's right.
I keep telling everybody, you got 2 factions of Moors. You got the righteous Moors and the dirty Moors. The term Moor is the catch term to put us under for us to fight the war of an intellectual conflict out.
Yeah.
Right? To educate ourselves above the condition. Now, the problem is when they elders become elders and go back to where they come from, that with they elders keeping us in line. Them the dirty Moors. By using the extension groups like the United States Corporation, like the JDL, the ADL, right? the country over there that they call Israel. All of those are distractions and things to use as shields to continuously keep us from realizing that we have to educate ourselves about a condition. There's no other way out. You have to be able to clearly see the deception, but they have to put everything in the public domain so you can figure it out. As long as it's in the public domain, then somebody got to put it together. Right? Somebody got to put it together and explain it and then show you where they found it in the public domain. Right? And the places that they can put it in fiction. It's the same way they tell us fictional characters are really actual people. Like Nat Turner. The book The Confessions of Nat Turner is the origin of the story of Nat Turner. It's a fictional novel. But we don't want to, it was such a character that was so strong in face of the opposition of the era. We don't care if he was real or not. I'm a descendant of Nat Turner. It's the same way they talk. I'm the chosen people of God. If you got chosen I'm telling you now, if you got chosen to be better than somebody by God, your God is the devil.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Because only the devil want to make somebody feel like they're better than somebody else in order to get them to work for him. Right? You got it. The real God don't tell you that you better or less than anybody else. Right? The real God tell you that you your own individual self, be the best you can be, and don't worry about being better than nobody else. As long as you're the best version of you, it won't even be necessary because you're gonna shine on the world. Being yourself. As soon as you try to be who society tell you to be, you trapped in your ego.
Yeah, like I said, man, if you still like some people gonna still be Christians, I ain't gonna even you could tell them about the doctrine of discovery. You could tell them, hey man, they put a gun in your head and made you to Christians. Like it's a hard pill to swallow at this point in time, but you should be past it already. We should be past that point of that. Okay, we got colonized by Christians.
You got to remember, people at different levels of understanding. Everybody not on the same level.
Yeah.
We be walking around thinking we all on the same level. We not. Right? That don't make you better than nobody because you on a different level. It just make the level that you on responsible for something different.
Right. Some
of them people still haven't gotten over the understanding that they've been tricked.
Right.
Right? As long as the hypnotized person don't know you hypnotized, you can't break the hypnosis. Right?
Yeah.
So you need a sudden shock in order to jolt their consciousness. Right? But some of us you can give us the clues and we can begin to put together the picture. And once we see it, we can't unsee it. So when we act like we didn't see it, it's still cooking in the background. Eventually, the naysayer gonna become the supporter when they recognize that, wait a minute, that sounds too accurate for it not to be valid. Right? Because it ties to all of the receipts.
Hey, it's right here really a two-part question. What can they do to get active? Because somebody asked what was the female's job. I think you just explained it a little bit. And then could you go in what the males can do, the females and the males? This will be the last question. What can the females then and the males do to be active and be on a job right now as we go into all the stuff that we've been talking about, like far as the world?
So everybody got something that they do, right? All you got to do, first thing first, take care of your immediate family. Before you start trying to figure out where else to go look to do some work, make sure you can do the work at home first, right? And once you can do the work at home, Then you want to help the community. Then you assess how much time you need to put into the community, right? Because you could put in as little as an hour a day or as little as 2 hours a month, but you still have to figure out what you can do. How can you contribute? What are you capable of doing? Right? You can't tell any individual without knowing them what they should be doing at this time because you don't know what their skill set is. Right? So if you're gonna activate, the fastest way to activation is the more people you get to that'll catch their ear to listen to the information. If we don't understand what's happening, then we gonna be behind. We're gonna be part of the ones that see catastrophe when redemption is at hand. Because they're not gonna be able to recognize the difference. There's a difference between a cataclysmic event and a purging event. One of them done is senseless violence, right? Like my little nephew just got took out today, which it was hard for me to do this knowing that, but it had to be done. But the senselessness of it on the one hand, or the gravity of the reality that somebody going to have to be dealt with in order for nature to balance the situation. In other words, the repeat offender won't stop repeating until you stop him from repeating. Because once the pattern is established and the habit is formed, it's almost impossible for him to break if you find pleasure in it. So some of them, we got to stop them. And other ones, you leave them to their own devices, they'll stop themselves. But you got to know how to know the difference in the two. The one who has pseudo power, who think they're powerful, are the ones we going to have to actually remove. And I can't wait.
And you remember that? Hey, Rob, you remember that movie 300? Where that dude, the Persian kings or the Persian soldiers came bringing the heads of other kings. Yeah, right. And then when he about to kick him in that hole, right? He looked back at his queen first. She did like this. And nigga said, once she gave him that handshake, it was over, man. She kicked him off up in there now, man. Once that queen said do it, oh man, nigga, I'm finna do you now. Oh yeah, you bring that to my doorstep. You should have thought choose your words kindly. This is Sparta. Boom, kicked him off.
That was one of my favorite parts.
Man, that's my favorite part, bro.
He said, "Only a madman would dare kill a messenger." He said, "You come to my door with the head of kings." He said, "You come." Hey, Leonidas tell him, "You come to my house with the heads of kings, threaten my people with slavery,
right,
and disrespect my queen."
Right? Oh yeah.
When he looked back at her, she said, he was like, "No, I'm not a madman. This is Sparta."
Once that queen gave him that nod, that was it. Off the queen.
He ain't got to do but kick that one, and his soldiers automatically knew what to do with the rest.
Get everybody else follow suit. It's always follow suit with them. Whatever he do, we do. You know what I'm saying?
Look, and they're going to tell you, look, I was looking up the Spartan suit because, the Spartan helmet is supposed to be mimicry of a mohawk.
Right. That's right.
And we was the only ones wearing mohawks. African tribes didn't wear mohawks, but we did.
Yeah. Yeah, the Mohawk tribe.
Yeah.
She Black Hawk. They like now, and also that type of headgear. The Igigis, one group of the Igigis had that type of headgear. If you see the Etruscans, that's what they show them. They show a statue of these two Etruscans grabbing the girl. Like
they Marvin the Martian.
Yeah, like Marvin the Martian. And they were ant beams.
I'm going to slap you with my space modulator.
They called the Tarzisians, and they are a black ant species that came here, and they came down and taught the humans how to dig underground and dig these tunnels. And the Hopi talk about these people. The Hopi got some of like a lot of legends about these people coming down with these helmets, and those ant type of creatures, and they taught them how to go underground and survive and dig underground and this and that. They go into it. So yeah, man, we got to get up out of here, man. Everybody try to go to sleep, man. They want okay. I'm gonna get yeah. So yeah, Rob, we gonna come back with another one, man. This was hot right here. This is another one, Friday the 13th. Free all the political prisoners. Big Mama's back on the land, right? Larry Hoop about to be free. Malachi about to be free. Everybody about to get out, man. This is the year. These next 2 years is the years where everything get put back like it was before they came. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel like the next 2 or 3 years, like within this span between now and 2030, everything go back to how it was. Well, we was happy-go-lucky, like Christopher Columbus said. They walking around like la 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 la. He said it was like that's how he was over here, man. We was having a blast over here before these people came.
And they exploited our genetic memory, used it against us to give us false doctrines.
Man.
They sacrificed the blood of the righteous so that we'll follow their edicts called laws. Right? They did all this stuff, treated us bad, miseducated our children.
Right.
They poisoned the land, the air, and the water.
Yeah.
Now that should be against the goddamn law.
Yeah, he said that. He said their water was so crystal clear you can see to the bottom. Then after they come, it's so black you can't even see to the top. See at the top of it.
I was watching this Western, and this Italian dude dressed up like an Indian. He was telling the white man. He said, before the white man come, you could drink out water from any place.
Yeah.
He said, now our waters are sick.
Yeah. I think I seen that one. Yeah. They said you used to be able to take a cup and scoop out the top of the river and drink it. It was like drinking fresh spring water. But now the water black, the river's black, everything brown, dark black. And Christopher Columbus said he got crystal clear waters over there. Crystal clear waters, what he said. But we got to take this. We got to come and slaughter these people. These people, we got to take advantage. Who are these people, man?
Now, remember, he specifically, geography over here, pinpoint to the finest point. He's talking Jamaica. Haiti. He's talking the island of Haiti. Because they named it Hispaniola.
Yeah.
When he left.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna take the people's name off their land and just put your name on it.
He just went around naming stuff. Oh, this ours. Oh, that's ours. It's El Salvador. Oh, that's, we're gonna take it all back.
Then they naming it after people.
Yeah, that's right. Man, I'm telling you, bro.
Haiti not named after no people. Europeans. It's named after the people from the land. Haiti. That's a family heritage birthright land. That's why it's called Haiti.
Yeah.
They chose that name. The European didn't choose it for them. The colonizer didn't choose it for them. They the only one. The legend has it Duddy Bookman the only one looked the devil in his face when he challenged him and said, "Bring it on."
Yeah.
You see what you got. Devil mean adversary.
Yeah.
Now remember that. Despookify the message and just put it in its simplest term in common English. Devil just mean your enemy.
That's right. Whoever's against you.
Right. Whoever's against you is your devil.
Yeah.
Right. And we've seen the black devil now.
Yeah.
Right. They left it all in the public domain, But they never would have thought we was gonna put it together. They told me it was like unscrambling the egg. It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
But got to be a way it could be done. If it's almost impossible, that means there's something that can be done to make that possible.
Yeah.
It's called alchemy. You can alchemize something back to its original, but you can't do it in 3D.
Right.
You have to do it in the 4D, 5D.
Right.
And when you come back to 3D, you got a whole fresh egg all over again. They call it turning back time.
That's right.
But you don't literally have to turn back time. You go back through time in the memory. You're a time traveler whether you want to know it or not.
Right.
Because your bloodline in the past is talking to your bloodline in the future, and you just the answer in the middle.
Right.
That's thinking. Your bloodline from the past is talking to your bloodline of the future. And you just the messenger in the middle between the two.
That's deep.
And that's why people become oh man, you prophesy. No, it's not prophecy. It's listening. Then pointing out what you see.
Right.
It just if it happened, that's convergence. That's not prophecy. Right? That mirror that John D had gave birth to a program of the US military called Operation Looking Glass. It's now declassified. You can ask AI what was Operation Looking Glass. And it was the ability for them to use systems of probability to determine future outcomes in the course of events.
Yeah, and they got it at the Scottish Rites Lodge in Washington, D.C. The Scottish Rites Grand Lodge at D.C.
Well, I wonder why it would be in the Scottish Rite Lodge.
Yeah, Grand Lodge. And look, Rob, they invite you there to bring you up to that degrees. They say you got to make a reasonable donation. And guess what the reasonable donation is? $50,000.
Who is it reasonable to?
That's what I'm saying. $50,000 a reasonable donation.
But you got to pay attention because knowledge is power. Mm-hmm. If you're paying for knowledge, you're paying for power.
Go ahead.
Right. The only way to activate it is you need something called wisdom, where you can't activate the knowledge to maximize its output.
Right. Right.
The more you know, the further you go. You heard that one, didn't
you? Yeah. The more you go, the further you go.
Yeah. What was the United Negro College Fund? A black mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Yeah, Marcus Garvey.
Right. So it's telling you all of the secrets in the open. Because that means that the key to your redemption is in your self-education, not the education by the system. Why? Because history is written by the victors. If you ain't coming from the victor standpoint, then you won't never understand history. But if you come from the one who was victimized standpoint and still feel like the victim, you're going to remain victimized. Because you're not going to fight for what's right because you've already been relegated to the learned helplessness of a victim. You got to think like a conqueror if you want to conquer. You can't think like a neighbor if you want to be a conqueror. Right? But everybody ain't got to know what you're thinking.
Right.
So the greatest conquerors can conquer from the mind and then let the effect manifest on earth. They call him an armchair revolutionary because they don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Right. So he's sitting back in the chair and he's talking to people in the public domain as Degrees told the story around the fires that night. Right. And the people sit down at the open fire pit and they listen to the grid and he's singing and dancing and telling the story. And then when he get done, he taught them a whole bunch of stuff that they didn't even know they was learning. Right, because he's bypassing the faculty of ignorance. In order for ignorance to be effective, you have to have a system to reinforce the person's